What do you know to be true? You have to have beliefs and be conscious of them in order to live out in the world properly, because it's almost like, wandering through life without knowing these beliefs will lead you to question and will lead you to fall into false beliefs. So you have to know, what is it that I believe? What do I believe? What are the things I hold true in my mind? So these are 10 things that I've printed out right here that are like convictions. These are things I believe to be true. And who knows, this is a list of 10,000 things eventually. Right now there's 13 items on it, but I'm gonna read them out. You should do the same. Ask yourself, what are the things I believe to be true? Without a shadow of a doubt, right? Number one, most people have no idea they possess the power they possess to change the world for good or for bad, right? You have within you the ability to do incredible things, because there have been other people just like you who have absolutely changed the world. I was going to say a quote from Steve Jobs, but you can look it up. Number two, most have no idea what they're capable of. Hunger has made plenty of vegetarians change their mind. I think that second half was one I heard from Hormozy, but if not, it's a pretty good one. People have no idea that they could do great things. We get into the habit of our day-to-day lives and we never choose to do more, right? If you just take the time to figure out, what am I capable of? Am I capable of more, and actually follow through on that and strengthen your mind and move toward a more inspiring future, you'll slowly start to realize that you are capable of so much more than you could ever imagine, right? As well, different situations will change you. Hunger has made plenty of vegetarians change their mind, right? If you change the situation you're in, that's also another way to figure out what you're capable of. So that's just something to keep in mind. Ideas are worthless and worth a lot simultaneously. I have a document with 10,000 ideas in it, and like tangents of ideas for a script, whatever it is. It is jam-packed. For the better part of the past 3 years, because I haven't been in college, I've put down every thought that has come through these 2 ears on a Google Doc. And it is literally like, now I've sorted it into several Google Docs, that way I can just stay organized. It is over 5,000 pages of information. Maybe that's a stretch, but it's over 3,000. I gotta double check on that and get you a solid number, and I'll put it in the comments. But my point in saying all this is that you can come up with 1,000 ideas in your life, but if you never act on any of them, they're worthless in a Google spreadsheet, in a Google Doc. So it's much more important to actually act on ideas, even if it's just a stupid idea. I was going to say a bad word, but I didn't. If it's just a stupid idea and you act on it, you're still acting on an idea, and that can be much more valuable than 10,000 billion-dollar ideas that just stay in your notes, right? So ideas are worth a lot and a little simultaneously. It's like Schrodinger's cat. It's dead and alive at the same time. You never know until you find out, right? Every story is worth the effort. Stories are everything. It's how we communicate with each other. It's how we transfer knowledge. It's what separates us from other animals. And so if you have some great stories to tell, you will captivate an audience. You will have people lining up to listen to you. If you have great life experiences, people will want to be your friend. You'll be the go-to conversationalist at parties. It'll build out relationships. People will trust you more because you're sharing details about your life. And it could be as simple as the story of, how last summer something happened to you, right? But if you have a compelling story and it sounds great, you've taken time to think through what details are necessary, and you're able to say that in conversation, people will love you, right? So every story is worth the effort. If your buddies say hey, we're going down to see this band that's going to be here for 1 week and this is their last show for the rest of the time, I don't know, whatever the situation is, it's would this make for a great story? If so, then what I'm doing right now is probably not going to outweigh the benefit of having this story, right? You want to have as many stories as you possibly can to tell, because that is the highest form of social currency, or one of, if not the highest. A life is made of moments, so to have a great life, have a lot of great moments. Just live out every single day great things. And it sounds very cliche. I don't really know how to build that one out more than that. But like these are things I believe to be true. The things I repeat in my head of like, okay, if I had a great day today and like I tried my best and I moved towards whatever I was trying to move towards, the project that's in mind or the idea that I'm trying to build out. As long as I do those things and I consider today a great day, then I look back on my life and I say I have a great life, right? And it's that source of confidence. But on top of that, it's a way to say to myself, well, how could my life be even better? If a great life is made out of great moments, well, how could I have an absurdly great life, and an impressive life? It's made out of impressive moments. Well, now I got to do things that are more impressive on a day-to-day basis. You see what I mean? It really is that simple. It's like the whole is made up of the few, the parts. So then just focus on the parts, and then eventually the whole will take on that identity. I feel like a philosopher. Okay, next up. Who cares if it doesn't work? You probably had nothing better to do anyway. Or anyways. I can't tell you how much this hits home for me, because, the 3 big trips that I've done over the past 2.5 years after leaving college at a world-renowned university have been jam-packed with stories. And the 3 biggest ones, they didn't work out how I wanted them to, right? But they led me to these, into discovery for these massive changes in perspective, and it allowed me to know that I was capable of more and all these different things. And even though they didn't work out, I probably had nothing better to do anyways. I wasn't in school, I had chose to do these things as a way to sharpen my mind. The 50 states in 50 days, 100 colleges in 100 days, and a cross-country penny farthing tour. And I'm going to continue doing these things, right, nonstop. These 3 experiences that didn't work out how I wanted them to, I wouldn't have done anything else anyway. So it's great that I have them, even though they didn't work out how they wanted. And so in your life, just throw away the result. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work out. You probably have nothing else better to do. Most everyone is stumbling through life. When you decide to make a plan for the short term to break the cycle, they'll look at you weird. I think a lot of people are just falling into the norm. Like if you're not in college and people are going through and getting their degree and looking at you like, what are you doing with your life? Odds are they're right. You probably have nothing going for you, because I was there, So you got to look at yourself half the time and say, how could they be right in this situation? But then on the other side, if you actually have something going for you, you're moving towards something, you're starting a company, you're making money, you're actually succeeding, even though you're not in college or doing the typical path, then that's when people are going to look at you weird because you're not in college, but you're still making progress. You got to keep in mind that when they see the results, the roles will be reversed, right? And this goes for college because that's the easiest example. But the same thing goes for let's say you have a steady job and then you decide to start your own company or whatever it is. Whenever you do something that's out of the normal, that takes a little bit of risk, it's a little bit scary, people are going to look at you weird. They're going to treat you different because they wish that they had the confidence, the fortitude, the ability, the smarts, the mental capability of pulling something off like that. So keep that in mind. If they look at you weird, that's on them. Beauty perception is a muscle. I think that most people have no idea what good music sounds like, what good food tastes like, what a high quality friend is, what a good conversation feels like. All these things take time to build, right? And so if you want to experience beautiful things, if you want to have a beautiful life, you have to build that muscle. You got to start understanding what exactly makes something good. I was watching a movie today, and prime example, like half a scene from a movie. I gave up movies, but I walked in for 10 minutes, and I was watching those 10 minutes, and I was like, I can't be doing this, can't watch this, But anyways, I'm trying to get to 100K on YouTube on a separate account. Until I get there, I can't watch movies. That's why I'm saying that. Okay, anyways, it was just so cheesy. There's so many lines that it was just a bad movie. I've developed this sense of good movies because I've watched. One of the things I did at the start of 2022 was I watched 100 movies in 1 month, the month of January, and I made a time lapse and posted the video, right? And so now and it was like the top 100 movies of all time. So now I have a really good concept of what a good movie is, and it was just terrible. So you want to develop that ability to sense that out, because you don't want to live in a suboptimal way, right? And so what's the optimal way to live? It's to understand what are the best things to consume, what are the best things to be interested in, to commit my life to. And that starts by building that beauty perception muscle. What if it didn't work out? What if it did? And that's the question I ask myself all the time. See, this isn't even a belief. It's just like I don't know, some of these things are not even things that I hold to be true. It's just like mantras or like just thoughts run through my head, And that's fine. Like, just have a list of things that like you live by. Maybe that's what it is. It's just like a list of sayings that you live by. Finish what you start, or you are a loser, right? And I fall into that trap way too many times, and I still do to this day. And so I'm still a loser, and I'm trying to turn that image around, right? So I'm not a loser because I'm moving away from it, but I'm still losing when I don't finish what I start. And so I'm, I gotta remind myself and put this up on my wall so I can see that and be like, did I finish everything that I started this week? As long as I did that, then I am no longer a loser, right? Learn before you make money so you don't have to learn by losing it. I think this is a good one. And I made a video about this a couple weeks ago, but basically, right now I'm making negotiations for woodworking with relatively small sums of money compared to what I'll make one day. So eventually I'll have $10 million in a negotiation for a company that I'm selling to Adobe or whatever it is, right? And, when I'm negotiating with that much money, I don't want to have to develop these skills then. Of course, I'll probably pay someone to do the negotiation for me, get the most money, all that type of stuff. Regardless, the point still stands of learning before you make real money, or even if you can, before you make any money whatsoever. That way you don't have to learn by losing it. In this negotiation that I did with woodworking, I lost around $1,000 on a pretty big project by saying yes to something that I didn't think about. And so I learned a lesson. Don't immediately say yes, and wait to think about it before you respond. Hey, can I think about this? Can I get back to you next week? Whatever it is, don't get caught up in the heat of emotion. And so that's a tough lesson I had to learn. It stings, but at least it didn't happen with more than $1,000 on the line, Okay. It's likely you had to go through what you did in order to be where you are now, or else it would have been different. So, the whole thing of like you live out your life, that would have happened elsewise. But let's say you live out your life and you make a mistake, and then you end up in a jail cell, or you end up with a friend mad at you, or you end up in debt. These things happen. Well, it's likely you had to go through that experience happening in order to learn from it, right? Or else you wouldn't have gone through that situation. So what got you in jail? Well, you were drinking and then you drove home, right? Well, what did you expect? Or, well, you're out of money. Well, you spent it all without a good reason and without a way to make money down the road. You were just thinking about this week and not next month, 6 months from now. What else would you expect, right? And so if you keep making these mistakes, then of course you're always going to end up in that path and you will never move forward. So you have to take stock and ask yourself, what did I do wrong? How will I do different next time? Do I even want to be different next time? Because a lot of people just don't have the desire to actually make something of themselves, or they do, but they don't want to do the things that are required of them to achieve that next level, right? And so you are different. You will take a stock of what you did wrong and you'll change it next time so that you can achieve these massive heights, because that price to pay is a small price to pay. Not making mistakes anymore, not allowing myself to make these stupid mistakes, that's a small price to pay. And honestly, I don't even think it's a price to pay. I think it's a reward in itself, right? You make that price, quote unquote, up front, but long term it serves you as a reward. Okay. Yes, that's my list of 13. And I'm going to keep adding to this list. And I don't know. I think it's good to have things written down because you'll forget. There are a billion things that go through your mind on a day-to-day basis. So write it down, put it on the wall. That way, every now and again, you'll pass by it and be reminded, this is what I believe. Treat your life as if you don't remember anything. Every morning you wake up and you have to reteach yourself what you believe to be true, because that's kind of how your life actually is. You know, social media and entertainment and the flow of this world, and just the surge of information that goes through our minds on a day-to-day basis makes it difficult to hold on to those core beliefs. You almost have to tattoo it on your body. That's why I really like this movie called Memento, because without tattooing it on your body, without, printing it out, putting it up on your wall, you'll forget, and then you'll fall into the path and you'll wonder, why did that happen? It's like you never reminded yourself. The only things that were going through your head were the fun things on Instagram that never build to anything. You have to remind yourself of the things that actually matter in order to do the things that actually matter. So, I don't know. Fun video. Kind of stupid, kind of dumb, but kind of not. So, why not us?